we had, and how to create the web server in the cloud anywhere practically we are going to see in today's session. First, means in today's session, this part, a web server part we are going to see. I'm going to introduce you how to create a web server in the cloud, how to configure and how to access, how to deploy a sample website and how it is going to be accessed by the end user. This part we are going to see in today's session. This is just introduction part to make you understand how we can interact with cloud environment and how a web server, what a web server, or what is the use of web server you're going to see. Why? Because while deploying a web application majorly, a web server is very, very important. That's what we are going to talk about. Web server softwares, usage, practical session, how to create website in Azure cloud, we are going to see. Okay. Yeah, let's start. See, first of all, what is a web server, guys? A web server generally is a software. Web server is one software here, which is used to deploy the web application to make it access to the end user. Without web server, without web server, a web application can't be accessed by the end user. Means a web server actually it is a software. A web server is a software in which if you install into one machine, for example, I'm taking one Linux machine or Windows machine, whatever it can be, I'm going to take one machine here. This is a normal machine, right? In which when it becomes a web server machine, for example, this is a Linux server. I created one Linux or Windows, anything. For example, take it as a Linux server. Linux machine I created in my Azure cloud, in which when it becomes a web server by installing web server software. What are the different types of web server softwares we had here? See, different types of web server softwares we had like Tomcat, IIS, or Nginx, IIS, majorly different web server software. Tomcat, Nginx, IIS. IIS means Internet Information Service. It is a one web server, Internet Information Service. Like this, different types of web server softwares we have. For example, if my code is in Java code. So if your application, web application is in Java code, now which web server I should use, Tomcat or Nginx, like this we can use. If the web application in .NET code or the web application is developed in .NET platform, then that web application to be deployed, what web server software I should use? IIS, Internet Information Service, on top of Windows machine. If it is Tomcat or Nginx, we can install on Linux machine. It depends on the application we are going to deploy, a web application, a web server we should maintain. So, for example, I want to deploy a Java web application. So, what web server I should create? Tomcat. So, what I should do here, I should install Tomcat web server. In this machine, I should install Tomcat web server. If I install Tomcat in this machine, then it becomes Tomcat web server. In which in this Tomcat web server, Java web application I can deploy. Java website or web application I need to deploy. That this site will be accessed by the end user. by end user from their local machine. This is for local machine. From this local machine using browser, they are going to hit my server like http www.xyz.com. Like this, we are going to hit from our web servers, right? Like that, we should hit the server. Then the request what we are sending is known as HTTP request. Who will take this request? Web server. Web server means who? Tomcat software on my machine will take this request. This is a request, HTTP request. This request will be respond to you as a web page. When the website is running on my web server will take your HTTP request. From there, one web page will get to your browser. That is known as HTTP response. HTTP response. This process is known as HTTP request response lifecycle. From client, this is known as client. This is a client, guys. Client or browser. A client or browser from your local machine will send a request, will get a response. This is known as HTTP request response lifecycle. Very, very important. This is HTTP request response lifecycle. This HTTP response lifecycle, request response lifecycle, will happen between a web server and a client browser for every web application to be accessed by the end user. In our daily life, we are going to hit a number of websites to purchase some products or to apply to any exams or application. Whatever we are going to do, we are doing through browser. We are hitting one server and we are getting response, right? Every website is running on one web server. It can depends on the code. If it is a .NET application running, it requires IIS web server. If it is a Java code, Tomcat. If it is Node.js, like Nginx. Like for every type of web application, one specific web server is there that we should install into one server. Where this server we are going to maintain? In the cloud only. This we are going to create now. Practically, we are going to see in the Azure cloud. First, initially, you can get some idea how we are going to interact with cloud, how we are going to create resources in the cloud. We can understand. That's why in today's session, I'm going to show you practical. But before going to practical session, first you should understand the theory part, right? That's what we are seeing. So, okay, what is web server? Web server is a software which is used to deploy the web application in which the web server will receive the request from client browser and will respond a web page. Why? Because a web application alone can't take a request and can't respond. Web application directly can't take request from the browser, can't respond to the browser. That's why on behalf of website, what mediator required for you, that is web server software. A web server is a software which will receive the request and give a response, a web page. That's why compulsory every web application running in the servers should run in the one web server, compulsory. So that's why first initially in our classes, we should understand about web server concept only. That's why we started with web server, how it will work first. Okay, clear. Next thing, one more important point here we should understand. Every service running on the machine, like that can be web server or any software running on one machine will run on some port numbers. Every service runs on some port numbers. Port number concept is very, very important, guys. Port number. Port number, which is a software port number. Every server or every service on your server means any software. Any software on the machine will runs on one port number. Port number means software ports. Those are not physical ports. Software ports. These software ports range will be some limited range 0 to 3656. Some range is there that we'll see later. In that range, only port numbers will be there. For example, now Tomcat is running, right? Tomcat is running on my machine. Means this Tomcat to receive a request and to respond, this Tomcat web server runs on one port number. The port number is known as 8080. 8080 is the port number, default port number in which your Tomcat web server will runs. This default port number should open on your machine. Port number is just like a door to your room. If you want to enter or exit, a door should open, right? In the same way, a service in the server to be run, to receive or to respond, should done through one port number. Port number is the entry and exit point to the service in your machine. Every service, not only one service will run one service or software, anything. One software, one service, not only one software, one service will run in your machine. Multiple softwares will run. For example, in the same machine, I will run Nginx also. For example, I will run Nginx in the same machine. But this Nginx runs on different port number like 80. Nginx runs on different port number like 80. In which two web servers I can run on single machine, but two web servers will run on different port numbers. Both should not run should open on that machine. Then only that service will receive the request and give a response. So in this scenario, and also along with this port number, right? This port number is for this service which is running. It should open, then only it will send a request, it will receive a request, it will get a response. First thing. Next thing. And every action we are performing on the servers, or every action happening between the servers, like between the system. This is server, this is client. Some network is there between client and server. This network, nothing but requires some protocols. This network requires some protocols. Means in the network to perform any action, some protocols will work. For example, here from client to server, server to client, to send a request to get a response on protocol working here. What is that protocol? HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Will works here between client browser and web server. Means between client browser and web server to send a URL like this to get a response, a web page, one protocol will works here. The protocol is HTTP. This HTTP protocol also runs on 80 port. Means every service or protocol, anything to run requires one port number to be open on that machine. That is 80 for HTTP, Tomcat 80. Like this, for every service or protocol, one port number is reserved. That port number, through that port number only this process happens. This is the basic understanding you should know about the request response lifecycle, or the process happening between server to client, client to server. Why? Because already we know we are going to deploy a web application to the servers from their end user should access. To access, you should open these port numbers on that server. Then only client will send a request, get a response. This complete basic information we should aware before entering to your subject, actual subject. Okay? Yeah. Very, very important classes. These are all things, guys. So now, okay, one more thing I will tell you now. For example, one server I need to create. Okay. One server I created on my Azure cloud. Assume like we are going to do this. Actually, now practically we are going to see this. After theoretical explanation, I'm going to show you this. In my Azure cloud, I'm going to create one Linux server. Linux server machine. I'm going to create. After creating this Linux server machine, on this machine, I want to make this machine as web server machine. What is my requirement? Web server. I need to create this as a Tomcat web server or Apache. Tomcat or Apache. This type of web servers we are going to see. For example, I'm going to take Tomcat Apache web server. Apache or Tomcat. Both will be in the same way. So I'm going to install one web server on this machine, that is Apache Tomcat or Apache web server. To do this, what I should do as a DevOps engineer from your local machine. How to do this? First, by opening Azure Cloud website, what I showed yesterday, I want to create one server machine. And on this server machine, I need to install one web server software known as Apache or Nginx. So whatever. Now we are going to see about Apache. To install that, first this machine I should open from my local machine, right? I should open that machine. How? Remotely from our local machine. We should open that server what we created. On top of the server, I need to install Apache. That is my requirement. Understood, guys? Means the machine which is running on the cloud, what we created, on top of that machine, I need to install one web server software known as Apache. How to install? I should access this remotely from my local machine. I should open this or access, remote access. I should get this remote access. Remote access means from your local machine, you should open that machine. From your local machine, I should open this remote machine which is running in the Azure cloud. That is known as remote access. And by opening that machine from your local machine, by opening this machine from your local machine, we are going to install one web server known as Apache. To get this, to do this, which protocol works for every task in the network will happen through one protocol, I said, right? So to open the machine from the cloud from your local machine and to install any software or remote access to may happen between your local machine to server, one protocol will work here that is known as SSH. Secure Shell Protocol is going to be, this is known as SSH connection also we can call. Through SSH protocol, and also this protocol works on which port number? Logical port means 22. SSH will work on which port number? 22. This 22 port number should open here. Then only SSH will work here. 22 port number should open on your cloud machine. Then only SSH protocol will work here. Then only we can access this from your local machine. This is known as SSH connection also we can call. SSH connection. That is known as remote access, remote connection, remote access through SSH connection. So in this process, one protocol is going to be worked that is known as SSH on which port number? 22 port number. So by accessing, how to access from your local, if it is a Linux server from your local machine, we should use some software, guys. How to open that machine? Next, another point here is from my local machine, a Linux machine which is running, I should open from my local machine remotely through SSH connection. And how to open now? To open that machine from your local machine happens in two ways. In two ways, we can do SSH connection, that is through command oriented or through graphical. In two ways, we are going to do SSH connection. In two ways, we are going to do SSH connection. One is through CUI or GUI. The SSH connection we can do in two ways. Listen carefully, guys, patiently. Why I'm saying means these basic concepts are very, very important to move forward to enter to your subject actually. So what I'm saying, to make SSH connection between server machine to SSH connection means opening the server running in the cloud from my local machine. Why? Because if you create any server, I want to work on this server, right? I need to install some softwares. I need to install some application. That process, how to do? Can we go to if you create one server in the cloud, meaning I already said this server will create in their data centers, public data centers, where the data centers are present in different locations, somewhere else. I'm here now in my home. You are in your home. How to create? Okay, we can create through website, that cloud website. Okay, after creating, how to access that remotely from your local? We can't move to that data center to configure that machine, right? We should open that machine remotely from our local machine. By opening that only from here, only from your local machine only, you can configure that server machine which is running in cloud. Like one server I created here in this example I'm showing, and I want to open that from my local machine through SSH 22 port number. By opening this, I can configure that web server. Means I need to install Apache. But how to open this machine from a local machine? In two ways, I'm saying, right? The two ways is like through GUI, means graphically we can open, graphical user interface we can do, or CUI, command user interface we can do. CUI, graphical and command oriented. Okay, we can access the web server in two ways, GUI and CUI. So to make it in GUI means by using some softwares we can do, like majorly two different softwares we are going to use here. That is Putty. Maybe you hear somewhere else. The software name is Putty. You should download in your local machine. Or else we can use another software also known as Mobile Xterm. Mobile Xterm. Mobile Xterm also we can use here. Any one software you can use here. That can be Putty or Mobile Xterm graphically. And you can access remotely this server in your local machine. Or else we have another option, command oriented. Through command prompt also we can do. We can make remote connection, SSH connection between your server to your client through command user interface also. That is through command oriented. Through commands also we can do. Not only graphically, through command also we can do this. Using commands. Both we are going to see. So by using any option here, GUI is CUI. We are going to open the server running on the cloud from your local machine. That is not a remote access or SSH connection, which happens on 22 port. And one more important thing, to do this connection, what I should do, 22 port I should open on my server machine. How to open also we are going to see. Okay, first thing, this is who will do this, who will do this configuration, everything, cloud engineer or DevOps guy. This local machine is our machine, DevOps machine or DevOps engineer machine, majorly, or cloud engineer machine. This is our local machine. Means in backend SSH connection, backend of your server, we can connect like this, and we can do some configuration on our server to install our application or web server. First, after doing this, after installing Apache web server, after installing website, after doing this, so now my website is running on my website, which is in Azure Cloud. Fine. Who will access this? End users. End user means from their end user machine. This is end user machine now. I'm coming to end user machine. This is end user. End user means customer or end user, we can say. Who are going to access our website, which is deployed. The person is not end user or customer. So how they will access? This is through browser, from their machine through browser. Through browser, they are going to access or open our site running on our web server. Through browser, they are going to make a request, get a response. Same thing, what I showed previous example. So in this process, which protocol will work here? HTTP. This is known as HTTP connection. HTTP request response lifecycle, I said, right? That is known as HTTP connection. This process happens like through browser, making a request, getting a response. I showed, right? Previous example. This sending a request through browser in the form of URL, getting a response, a web page to your client machine is known as HTTP request response cycle, and it is known as HTTP connection. In simple way, I can say HTTP connection. This HTTP connection happens through which port? 80 port. Already I said. So for this process, end user through browser make a getting response. This is known as HTTP connection. In backend to that web server, from our local machine we can make a connection. We can make a remote connection, and we are going to call this is SSH connection. Customers will hit your server through HTTP protocol, but a DevOps guy will connect with your machine through SSH protocol. This is SSH connection. This is HTTP connection. The difference we should understand first thing. So this also, after installing your website, a website is going to be work on one port number, that is 80 port. Means here 80 port should open to make HTTP connection by the customer to access your website on customer machine browser. And from DevOps guy machine to configure the servers, it should open a 22 port in which to make SSH connection. Like this, on the servers or on the computer machine, different protocol works for different actions, and that protocol has one port number. That port number should open to work perfectly. This you should know first. First, here I am showing SSH connection and HTTP connection. In this example, we are going to see two types of protocols or two types of connections. One is SSH connection, in which the DevOps guys will do on the servers. And one more thing is HTTP connection, which customers will make a connection with your server to get a website on their machines, like how we are accessing as a customer a Facebook app we are accessing, okay, Gmail or Flipkart, Amazon. Like this, we are going to hit the server through browser, right? That is known as HTTP connection. And we are the customers for that websites, right? But in backend, how they configure, who will configure? DevOps guys, operation, all the people will configure the servers. If the server runs perfectly, if the port numbers open only, as a customer, we can get that application perfectly. This is a process, guys. We are going to see. Okay. Any doubts still here? If you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, we can continue.
Yeah, who will provide the remote access? Customer or DevOps engineer?
DevOps engineer.
Okay.
Which one? Which connection you are asking?
Remote access.
HTTP?
It
Yeah, remote access.
means
See,
HTTP.
HTTP DevOps guy will provide. Means
SSH.
as a SSH. See, the server is going to be created by cloud engineer or DevOps. Both combination engineers will be there. We DevOps engineers, we are going to create servers. We are going to provide SSH connection. Okay, and
Okay.
on that connection, we only going to be while creating servers in the cloud. We are going to open 22 port. Then only we can connect with that server. We
First, we
only
need,
do
okay. First,
this.
we need to configure the SSH port, right? Local
Yes,
machine to website.
yes, yes,
Then we are able to access remote access. We are able to configure the remote access.
yes.
Okay.
Opening the 22 port means configuring the remote access only.
Remote access only.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. How means I will show you now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. While creating servers, that process we are going to do in the cloud. Okay, fine. Next. So now how to do this example, we'll see on the Azure cloud. Okay, before going to this, now I'm going to show you practically how to create one Linux server in the Azure cloud. Okay, yesterday in previous session I said, right, Azure cloud hierarchy, we know the hierarchy, say, wait. So now this example we are going to implement. First, we are going to create one Linux server in the Azure cloud. Then after on that server, by accessing that server from our local machine as a DevOps guy from your machine, we can access that server remotely and we can install one web server known as Apache. On that Apache web server, I can install website. Okay, this takes today and tomorrow. Complete example will complete in 2 sessions. But here tomorrow I will show you. Oh, sorry. Now I'm going to show you how to create one Linux server machine in the Azure cloud. After that, by opening HTTP 80 port, customers means as an end user, we are going to hit our server from your machine. You can hit from my machine. I can hit from wherever from the worldwide network. You can hit that IP address. How to hit everything I will tell you. Then you will get that website. This is a complete example we are going to complete in 2 sessions. Okay. Now in today's session, I'm going to start how to create a server in the Azure cloud. Okay. See now. And yesterday I said in the cloud session about Azure hierarchy, Azure cloud hierarchy. To create any resource, to create any resource here in the Azure cloud, first you should have one Azure account. You should create your Azure account. in that Azure account, while creating Azure account only, you are going to get one subscription hierarchy, guys. Yesterday I showed about any cloud hierarchy, like will have region, availability zone, and resources. But here I'm talking about Azure cloud. I said, right, you should create one Azure account in which you'll get one subscription free. First, as a new user, you'll get free trial, 1 month free trial subscription. You'll get free means free credits will get after completion of 1 month. Okay, it is going to be, it will ask you to convert to pay as you go. Pay as you go means some, what are the services you are going to use here, you should pay money. Means cloud concept is nothing but what are the resources you are going to use, for that you should pay the money. That is known as pay as you go concept. But for practice purpose, for first 1 month, you will get a free subscription freely. You can use, not required to pay any money to the Azure. So what I'm saying here, Azure account after creation, you will get one subscription. Under that subscription, you should create one resource known as resource group. Under the subscription, we are going to create resource group. Under the resource group, we are going to create our resources. Resources means servers, databases, these are all. Just now I said one resource like Linux server. That is not one resources. The resources can be servers, storages, databases, load balancers, etc. These are all we'll see later. What is load balance, everything. So this is the hierarchy we should follow here. Under subscription, you should create one resource group. Under that resource group, only resources. But this resource group and resources will create under regions. Under subscription, there will be regions. Regions means, already said, geographical location of data set. Under the regions, there will be availability zone, AZ. Availability zone means data centers. Availability zones, nothing but data centers. In this data centers, resource group we are going to create under the resources. Means under subscription, regions, nothing but geographical location of your data center. In the data center, we are going to create resource group, resources. Okay, this is the hierarchy we should follow, guys, that we are going to see now. Okay, I had Azure account. I can sign in. You can also create your Azure account as Gmail account, how you are creating. In the Azure portal, you can create Azure account. You can sign up. You will get one subscription. A subscription meaning access, nothing but. Then to create any resource, first you should create one resource group. Under that resource group, only resources we are going to create. So this is the hierarchy of Azure cloud. If you want to use, compulsory we should follow. That we'll see now practical. See now. So already I said here portal.azure.com we should use to sign up or login. Here I have DevOps Tech IT. One mail I use to sign up, already sign up. Then I'm going to sign in now. See guys, in Azure cloud or any cloud, to create any one resource, one service we should use. Now I need to create one server, right? Our task is this one now. This is our task. I need to create one Linux server. To create one Linux server, to create one Linux server, one service we are going to use in the cloud to perform or to create any resource. For every resource creation in our Azure cloud, we have one service. Like now, I am going to create one server. Server means one machine. But remotely, I'm going to create where it will create. Logically, we are going to create, but where it will create physically in the data centers, in their Azure Microsoft data center, our machine is going to be create now. How we are creating? From our location we are creating. Remotely, it is going to be created in the cloud. Okay, now by using my local machine, by using Azure Cloud Portal through internet, I'm connecting to that portal and I'm creating one server where it will create physically in their data center. But logically, we are creating from here itself. Physically, it will create in the data center. So now to create any server, which service we are going to use? I said virtual machine service. This is one of the service name in the Azure cloud to create any server. So select this. But till now I have no virtual machine. Try to create, click on create virtual machine. But while creating any resource, I said, right, what is the hierarchy we should follow here? To create any resource, first you should do that in one resource group. So see now. Now, subscription. First, my subscription is not free trial, it is pay as you go. I should pay money. But in this place, you will get with subscription, free trial you will get. Okay. Here you will get free trial, but I'm getting pay as you go. But while creating this subscription, while creating this VM, what it will ask in the subscription, you should select one resource group. See, it is asking in which resource group I should create virtual machine. That's why before going to create any resource, from here you can create resource group, or else by going to home itself again, I'm coming back and I should create one resource group first. First, what I should create? Resource group. So select here, create. Simply the resource group where it is going to be created in the subscription only, right? This is the hierarchy, guys. Resource group should be under subscription. Resources should be under resource group. So first, to create any one resource group we should create. What is the use of resource group? Resource group nothing but all the resource what we are going to create in our project should be under one group. My requirement is what are the servers, storages, databases for my project to be used. All should be under one group. That's why every resource what we are creating for one project, better to keep in one group. That is known as resource group. Resource group is nothing but logical container. This is logical container of resources. Any resource to be created for one particular project, it is better to keep in one resource group. Why? Because if you want to delete complete setup, directly you can delete resource group. Under that, resources will delete automatically. That's why here in this hierarchy, Azure Cloud hierarchy, compulsory resource should be created under one resource group. That is sure. So that's why first what I'm doing, I want to create one server now, Linux. So that's why first I'm creating which one? Resource group. Any name you can give, depends on your naming convention. Any name you can give, depends on your project. I'm creating right resource group one. Already I said while creating your resources, you should select your region, right? Already I said region means geographical location of your data center, where these resources I should create in one data center. Where what is that location? Location means geographical location. You should select in which region you want. Different regions I had worldwide. What is the region you want? You can create Central India. What is the nearest location for us? Central India, Asia specific. You can select anything. It is better to select nearest region for you. We are here, the nearest region in India, Central India. I can select this. Okay, you can select anything. I am selecting my nearest region in which I am in now. I'm in Hyderabad now. I'm in India, right? So that's why I'm selecting nearest region for us. This is the geographical location for your data center in which your resources is going to be created. Select this, then next. Tags, nothing but names we are giving for your resources, not required. If you want, you can create. Just see validation pass, then click on create. Now a resource group is going to be created. Under that resource group, my project complete resources I am going to create here. See, resource group is RSG1. Under this resource group, I am going to create my resources now. So what is our resource? Virtual machine. So go to now virtual machine. See guys, while creating any machine, here one more important point you need to notice. While creating any machine, for example, if you want to purchase any machine means laptop or your desktop, general physically, if you want to laptop, if you want to purchase any laptop or desktop, what you are going to see first? We are going to see what operating system it contains. What is the operating system you want? You are going to see, right? Configuration, nothing but. What is the operating system? What is the configuration? Like configuration. Configuration is RAM, processor, how much RAM you want, how many processors, CPUs, how many processors you want. These are all etc. All the things you are going to select. You are going to see, right? While purchasing a laptop or desktop physically by going to shops, you are going to select your operating. You are going to select your configuration. What do you want? Like configuration, like RAM, CPU, hard disk. In the same way, in the cloud also, while creating your virtual machine, you should select all these things. What type of virtual machine you want, what operating system you want, what configuration you want for your VM to be created. Everything you should select here while creating. See, I'm going to create virtual machine. So while creating, it will ask you all these details. By taking these details, a VM will create in the Azure cloud like this. So now what operating system I want? Linux. That's why I should select Linux OS. See, first of all, it is loading my subscription. See, okay, pay as you go. In which resource group you want to create? Just now I create one resource group, right? That you need to select RSG1. What is your virtual machine? You can give any name. I'm giving like VM1, or you can give Linux machine or web server machine. I'm going to take web server. Why? Because after creating this machine, wait, cannot get any spaces here. One web, it is going to become web server, right? That's why I'm giving web server or VM1 also. So Central India, availability, these are all we'll see later. Just now I'm not completely discussed about cloud, right? Just I'm showing how to create a Linux server in the Azure cloud and how to connect through SSH and how to connect through HTTP. This is our target. Okay. Okay, fine. Next, image. What image? Image, nothing but operating system. What operating system you need to get into this machine? That you need to select here. Different operating systems, they are providing Ubuntu, Red Hat, Windows. But I need one Linux, Ubuntu Linux. I'm selecting. Select your size. Size means how much CPU, how much memory, all these things. And also this authentication type we'll discuss in tomorrow's session. Nothing but after creating this server, how to connect with this server. After creating this server, how to connect through SSH only. But while connecting, you should log into this machine, right? How you can log in? We have two options: SSH, password. SSH, I will tell you tomorrow. Password means to nothing but if you had your machine. I have my laptop. I want to log into my laptop means I have username, password, right? In the same way, what is the VM you are creating in the cloud to connect with your VM? You need authenticate. You need to log in. How to log in? We have two options: authentication type, SSH keys or password. Now I'm using password. Tomorrow I'll tell you about SSH. Password, nothing but username you can give here, and password also, whatever you want, you can select here. Confirm password. Okay. This is authentication type. Username, password I'm giving. Whatever username, password I gave here while connecting to this machine remotely. SSH connection. In SSH connection, you should give these details. And also see now. In this inbound port rules, inbound, what is inbound? I'll tell you everything later. This one, I said, right? One port number I should open to connect through SSH. That is 22 port, I said. That 22 port, it is asking here, public inbound ports. Select this port to open. By default, I'm going to open 22 port. Select this SSH. SSH is the port number which I am opening while creating my server. This port we are going to use to connect to this machine through SSH remotely. That's what I'm taking this. Next, disks. Disks means hard disk. It is going to be select automatically, guys. We are not going to see this now itself. Later we are going to see everything. Networking part also we are going to see. Just this is the class only for showing or introduction how to create server, how to configure SSH, how to configure HTTP. That's what these are all default things. I'm reminding it as same. I make it as default things. I'm not going to change all these things. Just what I showed here, what options I give, you can give and you can create your server. Okay, in this scenario, what I selected first, one name I gave for my VM and one operating system I selected, some configuration I selected, that's it. And some password, username, password, authentication details also I selected here. Authentication details, nothing but username I took while connecting to your machine. What authentication? I need username and password. I give these things. Okay, these details majorly I selected, then review and create. See, this is because of pay as you go option. It is taking 8 rupees INR per hour. Like if I run this machine continuously, I'll get this charge. But for you, it is a free trial. But after creating, I'm going to delete this. I'm not going to bear these charges. Just for showing purpose, I'm creating this. So now in this machine, I selected Linux Ubuntu, Ubuntu Linux, username, password, one name I give. By taking this, it is going to be created. So after creating this server, the server will runs in my cloud. This server is now just Linux server, but I want to make it as Apache web server. That's why this server from our local machine, I should open by using GUI process with the help of putty or MobaXterm. I'll show you this tomorrow. By using putty or MobaXterm, I can connect this machine or I can open this machine from our local and I can install Apache or one website. Then after from your machines, you can hit my server, will get that website. This is the final output we are going to see. So now deployment succeeded. Created. Server is created, guys. You can go to the virtual machine. In virtual machine, previously no virtual machines available, but now one virtual machine is created. What is that machine name? We gave while creating web server. Web server, one server is running, guys. But this server has no Apache, nothing. It is just a plain Linux server. On top of that, I should install Apache. How to install? I should connect with this machine from my local machine through putty or MobaXterm. I can open this and I am going to configure this machine whatever I want. That is the next part we are going to see in tomorrow's session. But till here, what I showed, what is web server, what are the different types of web servers, what are the different protocols used here, and how to create one web server in Azure cloud, I showed here, graphical. So my server is running in the cloud with one IP address. What is this IP? I'll tell you tomorrow. Public IP. Using this from my local machine, I'm going to access through PuTTY or MobXterm graphically, and we are going to configure. We are going to install Apache, and on top of that website, we are going to install. In tomorrow's session, we are going to do this. But till here, you can do practice how to create one Linux server or virtual machine in the Azure cloud. There's a topic today. That's it today. We'll continue in tomorrow's session at same time. Till here, any doubts if you have, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can continue tomorrow. Is it clear, right, guys? Till here. Any doubts, please? Do you have any confusion? You can ask. Yeah, for the first time you're seeing all this user interview, everything, right? Keep on going on. It is habituate to you. You can easily, it is a good user interface you had. Easily, you can enter, you can create. But the first time, maybe it has some confusion if you have. Otherwise, by moving forward, it is a better understanding for you. You easily interact with this user interface. Yeah, any doubts?
Yeah, actually, what is the use of public IP?
Yeah, public IP means we have for every machine we have two IPs, public and private IP. Public IP because the server, if it has public IP, then only we can get remote access from our local machine. How we are getting this access? Through internet. We are going to get this through internet, not with private network, right? That's why through internet, if you want to access the server running in the cloud, should have public IP. Public IP nothing but internet IP address, which is useful to connect to your server through internet. That is known as public IP. Publicly, we can connect through internet. If it has private IP, by using only private IP, you can't connect through internet. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. This public IP, private IP differences also we'll discuss, guys. When the topic comes, I'll tell you everything.
Okay.
Okay? Clear, right? Till here?
Yeah, clear. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's it. We'll continue tomorrow, guys. Thank you.
Right.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Right.